Good evening, and welcome to What's Your Story? I'm your host, James Ransom Reed Jr. And if you've watched my show over the years, you know that I try to bring in ordinary people who actually are quite extraordinary. Perhaps as you're watching tonight, you are wondering, what is he talking about? Well, I'm talking about fitting in. I'm talking about finding your niche in life. From the moment you're born, you are unique and you're special. There's only one you. Sometimes finding that niche is a lifelong struggle. Sometimes people are lucky and they find it very early in life. But my guest tonight, my guest is a really interesting person. I had an opportunity to meet her at my church in Avon, Connecticut, and to realize what a special, unique individual she really is. And by the time this two-part interview is over, I'm sure you'll agree with me. My guest tonight is Jennifer Valentine. And you say, well, who is that? Well, we're going to tell you who she is and why she's special. She's had a lifelong quest, like many of you, to find her niche. Maybe she's got it, maybe she doesn't. Tonight, she'll let us know where she is on her odyssey through life. Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jim.
Wow, so good to get you in here.
Yeah, great to be here. Thank you.
You know, let's tell the audience about you. Where were you born, and how did that impact your life?
I was born in a very small town in Maine, southern Maine, called West Baldwin. It's about 45 minutes southwest of Portland in the Sebago Lakes area. I was raised on a farm, a real farm. Like I would get up at 5 and do the chores and have to go to school.
What kind of chores did you have to do?
Well, I carried water for the horses, as long as I can remember. Huge buckets, freezing cold weather, 5 a.m., like it didn't matter. We had a 3-story barn, and we would feed the cows from the 3rd floor. The hay, we would drop it down to actually it's like a basement area where the cows would all come, and we would drop all kinds of hay down there, and then I would actually jump through and land on the hay and then spread out the hay and feed the chickens, feed the goats. Once we had pigs.
Your day started at what time in the morning?
5.
Every day?
Mm-hmm.
Winter, spring, summer, fall?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
How did that impact you?
Well, it definitely gave me a strong work ethic.
I would imagine it would, yeah.
It did. And I actually developed kind of a love of hard work. Because as I have gone through my life, I've realized that you don't actually have to work hard to achieve your dreams and goals, but I find myself doing things that are harder than other people. I enjoy a challenge. I enjoy like the physicality of hard work. Things like that. I appreciate a lot of things because we grew our own food. It was a beef cattle farm, and I did have my own horses, so that was nice. But
you had your own horse, but you had to maintain and take care of it.
I sure did.
Yeah. Experiences. Just tell the audience about some of your experiences working on a farm. Like, are animals unpredictable? Do you have to be careful around them?
You do. But being a farm girl, I was probably a lot more relaxed than most kids were.
Can the animals sense that?
I know they can, yeah. And it still bothers like my daughter to this day because no matter how many puppies or whatever we get in the house, they all choose me. Like they do, and it makes her crazy. My daughter's wonderful with animals, but I think they're attracted to me because I'm just very chill with them. It's cool. And my dad had us do 4-H. Do you know about that program?
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
Yeah. So as an 8th grader, I was at the local fairs while all of the other girls my age had their hair perfect and wearing just the right clothes to go on, the rides and see the boys. And here I was with my cow walking around the ring, and but then I got to go on the rides, so it was fine. But
so, how would you rate growing up on a farm as how would, would you wish it upon others?
Oh, for sure.
Really?
Now, then, no,
No.
no, I
Could you
didn't
see
want to.
today's generation working on a farm?
I think they need to,
You,
for sure.
you think they need to be doing,
Hmm.
and why? What would it teach them?
That they have responsibilities, that everything isn't handed to them, that there's a certain amount of hours and minutes in each day, and that they should savor them. You know, we used to in the summertime, hot summer, we would help my dad hay the fields, and it was so hot, and the bales are prickly, so you have to wear pants, you
Oh,
can't
yeah.
wear shorts, and we would just beg, can we have a break and go to the pond? Please, 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 please. Nope, you got to get the hay in. And finally, at like 7:30 at night, he'd be like, okay, kids, pile in the truck. Let's go to the pond. And by then, you didn't even care because, you know, the sun was setting. It was a little cooler. But you went because you knew you wouldn't get a chance
Yeah.
until maybe 7 o'clock the next day.
Yeah.
And you appreciate that time. Yeah, I mean, kids these days have a lot of advantages, a lot, and many are great. But unfortunately, myself included, I'm a mom, and we're all just very used to it. Technology is here to stay, and it stinks that we have to. I don't know if we have to, but we do. We manage their days through technology. You know, you give them more screen time if they're good, or if they do what you ask, or if they're just bugging you too much and you just want them to leave you alone.
Yeah.
You know, if all kids really had to go out and have the kind of childhood I had, I think it would help. But that being said, I really didn't enjoy it when I was there. I I really felt like I belonged in a city. I always had this heart for performance and theater. We had a dance school, Wanda Plummer's School of Dance, and they're actually celebrating their 50th year this year. And they just put out a thing. I'm really excited. My sister and I are going back. They're going to do an alumni show, so that's going to be awesome. But anyway, so I would do dance at the local, dance school. But I was the kind of kid who just wanted to do everything, and we could only do what we could do. Both my parents worked. Besides having a farm, my dad was a credit manager for an oil company. My mom was a nurse, and I had a younger brother, just 16 months younger, and then a younger sister, 6 years younger. And for the most part, I helped take care of them.
That's a great segue because the next question would be, tell us about your siblings. How'd you get, where are you in the pecking order, by the way?
I'm the oldest.
Oh, you're the oldest.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yes.
That came with a certain set of responsibilities, did it not?
It absolutely did. Yeah. And I like being the oldest. I think more than for the most part. I think it suits me. I like to tell people what to do. Yeah, and my brother and I, we only 16 months between us. We fought a lot.
Oh boy.
Growing up, but then we were best friends as well. You know, we rode our bikes together, and you know, I would make him play Barbies with me, and then he would make me play trucks with him, and you know, we had a couple of friends up the road, and sometimes we would get together with them, and that was fun. But we did a lot of creative things outside, building, you know, tree forts and things like that. And it was just a really nice, like, fresh air, outdoors kind of growing up. And then my little sister came along, and
What are your siblings' names?
my brother's Andrew, and my sister's Rebecca.
All right, Andrew, Rebecca as a shout out. There you go.
And we're all very close. For a long time, my brother really terrorized my little sister, so I was her protector. And then my mom would always try to dress us alike, which I didn't enjoy.
Dress you like your brother?
My sister.
Oh, like your sister.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. However, that being said, one time my hair would get very snarly, and so one time my mother gave my brother and I matching boy haircuts, and I didn't enjoy that either. Yeah. So, but yeah, I used to, around the age of like 12-ish, I would try to push my sister away a lot, but that was a few years of that. And, I think it's kind of natural. I was, becoming a teenager and he was still little.
Pushing that envelope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I also, because I liked performance, like Tiger Beat magazine was pretty new at the time.
Oh, I remember Tiger.
Yeah. So my mom would let me get those every now and then. And I remember, I think I was like 9 years old.
Yes.
And I was reading an issue in my room, and there was a girl my age, and it was a whole story about how her family just like followed her dream with her, and they all like left their farm. I don't remember where it was, and they all moved to California. And I was like, all right, this is possible. And I take it out to my mom, and she's like, yeah, no. And I'm like, oh. And then when the TV show Fame came out,
No.
yes, I was like, Mom, New York, we could go. She's like, no. So I spent most of my time figuring out what it was going to be like to be famous. I would lock myself in our bathroom, our one and only bathroom, so nobody was a fan of this.
For 5 people.
Well, and also my grandfather died right around the time my little sister was born. So he had remarried to my grandmother, but they had 2 teenagers who my parents became guardians for.
Oh.
So they moved in with us. So now it was 7
people yeah.
with one tiny bathroom, like like smaller, like tiny.
Yeah.
And I would lock myself in, and I would get up on the vanity, and I would look in the mirror with the hairbrush, and I would conduct interviews with myself, pretending I was talking to Merv Griffin or Phil Donahue yeah. So, or Dinah Shore. Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about your parents.
Yeah.
Okay, and your parents' names are?
Brenda and Gary McNeil.
Brenda and Gary, a shout out from your daughter here. All right, what do you got? Tell me about Mom first.
Mom is a nurse. She grew up most of her childhood and adolescence in South Portland, Maine, which is a city. And April. So it was April of her senior year of high school. They moved her to the sticks of Maine.
To the sticks.
Yes.
Oh boy.
And you can imagine she wasn't very happy. Like I feel for her. But it just so happens that's where she met my father. He was the class president of this very small high school where I went, Sockopee Valley High School. And he showed her around, and they started dating, and rest is history.
Bada boop, bada bing.
Yes.
There we go.
Yep. Yeah, it was a regional high school. 5 towns went there, still do. Very small. Yeah, I think they had 50 graduating kids in their class. I might be wrong, but I didn't have many more. I had 57 or something.
Your mom a good cook?
She's a great cook. She stopped liking to cook for some reason. Like when I went to college, like she sent me to college with all of these like homemade frozen meals, and it was awesome. And all my friends were jealous. And then, the older we got, the more she would be like, fend for yourself. But she is a good cook when she.
Favorite meal that she made for you? What was it?
Well, I don't know why. Maybe because it rhymed, but it was. It's not. This isn't a good indication of it, but it was macaroni and cheese and sausage and peas. But they used to make a lot of things. It was great, wholesome. Always like a protein and a vegetable, and
starch,
and milk and bread, and always a dessert because my dad's a sweet tooth, and so am I. Yeah, and she made these great casseroles. Those were delicious. Yeah.
She have a sense of humor?
She does. Yeah, she does have a good sense of humor. It's different than my dad's. My mom's a more quiet person.
Ah, okay.
But I can make her laugh.
Yeah.
And my kids make her laugh. She's in love with her grandchildren, of course. And yeah.
Let's talk about Dad. What about Dad?
Dad.
Is he the one you most like, or in personality? Mm-hmm. And how so?
Well, we pretty much think everything's funny. And if it isn't, then we find a way to make it funny.
So the ironies in life.
Yes. and my son has our same personality. So it's generally it really is passed down. I don't know how,
Okay.
but yeah. Um, yeah, he like I said, he was a farmer. He was actually raised on the farm that I grew up in too. We built a new house, and then when my grandfather died,
Mm,
he bought out the other kids,
mm.
and we came to live there. So he got it going again, like a working farm, and all the while he was working a day job as well. Which is why we all had to help out. It was good. And he he has many brothers and sisters. His parents were divorced in a time,
Ooh,
which is really funny now that I think of it, because the play I directed, which I know I'm jumping ahead,
that's
but
okay. We'll
but the
get there.
the play I directed was set in 1945, and the little girl's parents were getting a divorce, and it
Mm.
was a hard thing to talk about because it wasn't really done back then.
Yeah, yeah.
So I can only really imagine what my dad felt, and he was split up from his brothers and sisters,
Oh, yeah.
um, and they would all visit, but he got the farm life. His dad, my grandfather, was a sailor, fisherman. So he would go out on long haul fishing expeditions. And so the ones who were there with him all the time were my great grandmother and great grandfather. And they really, formed him.
Mm.
Um, and his personality, I really don't know where it came from. I don't know, but it's a good one.
Who had the most impact on you, or what was the impact of each one on you? Say, let's start with your mom. What her overall impact would it be? Her parenting philosophy, how you raised your kids? What would it be? The impact that your mom had on you?
Um, I I don't know. My mom has a beautiful voice.
Oh, she does.
Oh, yes.
I can identify with that.
Yes, you can. She doesn't sound like you, Jim. Probably thankfully. I think I
Thankfully,
think your voice is good for you and
that's
hers is
good.
good
Good for
for
her. Yeah,
her.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. She loves music. And so I guess, like, I am a mix of the two of them, and if I see it as a yin and yang,
Mhm,
it,
mhm,
it really fits them,
mhm.
because the yin is the calmer, quieter, introspective side, and that's my mom, and the yang is the outward
Here I
personality,
am, world.
bright, yeah, and that's my dad, and they really need each other to
Yeah, one
exist.
doesn't do well without the other.
No.
No.
No, and throughout different phases of my life, I have been more yin or more yang. Well, I've been mostly yang, and I'm just finally starting to be yin.
So, are
Yes.
you telling me you're mellowing?
I
Is
am.
that what's
Or
happening?
growing up,
Okay.
whatever. I said I never would, but it's happening.
Yeah. Now, what did your dad impact? What impact your dad have on you? I mean, were you a daddy's girl or?
Yes. Oh,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, because my mom was the disciplinarian.
Mom was a disciplinarian.
Well, hang on, because I mean, they can't get in trouble for this. It was very normal at the time because spanking was allowed back then, and my dad spanked. But my mom, she was the so such a long story. Like, so when they first got married, and while my brother and I were very little, my dad was
Be
in
careful.
the the
That's
National Guard. Yeah, we won't talk about that anymore. But my dad was in the National Guard, so my mom was you know, sad and probably overwhelmed and
sure.
lonely, and two tiny kids. And,
Mhm.
so she would parent us the best way she could.
Yep.
But that was usually yelling, that kind of thing, or leave me alone kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, and I definitely understand all of that now that I'm a mom,
Yeah.
back then, did I understand it? I mean, probably not, but, and then my dad would come in and be the fun guy and whatever, but maybe that wasn't always fair from my mom, but maybe that's how they decided, look, these are your strengths and these are mine. I don't know. But how do I parent because of them, are you asking? Well, I like to keep things as light as possible, which drives my husband quite crazy. He's the tougher one in our family. It's not that I am not strict, it's just that he's stricter. So it gives me room to play. And then it frustrates him because, you know, he'll say no and blah, blah, and the kids don't listen. But when I say no one time, the kids stop. It's like hearing a different voice. Or like when I was a preschool teacher, if the level of the kids was like this, I wouldn't try to yell over them. I would whisper, because it's just about getting your attention. It's just about, it's about a different level, something else entering the space.
Education.
Mm-hmm.
You said you went to, what's the high school?
Sockabee Valley High School.
Then the mascot was?
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks. All right. Is it still there?
Yeah, oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. All of my nephews have graduated from there. Mm-hmm.
And where did you go to college?
I went to college in Boston at Emerson College.
And tell the viewers what Emerson College is.
Emerson College is a fine arts and communications college. And when I went there, the city was your campus. And I loved that, being a girl from a small town, it's like they just let me loose on the city. And now it is beautiful. It's so high tech. I didn't have as many of those experiences.
Yes.
I loved my experience, so I can't even imagine what they're going through. But it's all moved to, mostly like to Tresser Boulevard, especially the arts. I started out a dance major, switched to a theater major, and all of those. And the Majestic Theater is gorgeous. That was our theater, and Tresser Boulevard is right there. So the students now have a big advantage. That's where their dorms are. That's where their classes are. So.
What made you choose Emerson?
I think it was Boston, honestly. The one that gave us the best financial package was Bennington College, which wonderful college. But have you been to Bennington?
Is that Vermont?
Mm-hmm.
No.
So the college is on a farm.
Is it really?
I had enough of that. I'm like, oh, that's nice. No, but they had a wonderful dance.
See, there's an
program.
impact right there.
Yeah.
On your education and your life, because if they gave you a great package, you said, I'm going over here.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that, yeah.
Yeah, they really, really did. I got a scholarship for writing. I used to be a very good writer.
Used to be?
I mean, I don't sit down and try. I think I still can. But I went to Emerson. I loved the city. I was just so ready for that energy.
So describe to me the day you left home to go to college.
My dad hates talking about this. They were all very sad, and I was very happy. They drove me to college. They drove me to Boston.
Yeah.
And they were all like, I remember we were coming into the city, and I could see the Charles River all around me, and that song, like, Love That Dirty Water.
Yep.
Yeah, Boston, You're My Home. And I'm like, yes, it is. And my dad just brought it up, like, last Thanksgiving. Somebody showed a picture of that day, and he was like, oh, that was a sad day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and a happy one.
Wow.
It was good.
Good. That's the first half of our interview with Jennifer Valentine. The second half you will find equally as intriguing as we get into the fact that she found her niche and the world is a better place for it. I want to thank Jennifer for being here, and I want to ask you to stay tuned for part 2 of this interview. My name is James Ransom Reed Jr. I'm the host of What's Your Story? Everybody has a story. What's yours? Until next time, good night.
Nick Augustino right here at the East Side Restaurant. we always have the complete full dinner menu. Knockwurst, bratwurst, sauerbraten, potato pancakes, red cabbage, rice pudding, cream pies, all the desserts that Germany had to offer. I always do something different. Yes, I do. I brought seafood to the beer garden at the East Side Restaurant. East Side Restaurant, your German destination restaurant in Connecticut. Tiki-taka, hoy, hoy, hoy!
Hello, I'm Bill Meyer, Board Director for Nutmeg TV, your local public TV station. For over 30 years now, Nutmeg has brought countless local events, municipal meetings, and programs to our TV screens. To continue this important work, Nutmeg relies on the support of generous individuals like yourself. So we're reaching out today to ask for your monetary support. Together we can continue to amplify the voices and stories that make our community unique and vibrant.
To make a donation, simply visit our website at nutmegtv.com or call the office at 860-321-7405 for assistance.